You think that voice in your head, the one you call I, is the safest place in the universe, your own private internal monologue. But what if it isn't a voice? What if it's just a frequency? A signal that you've been broadcasting your entire life, a signal that can be listened to, intercepted, and even rewritten. This is not a story about a monster hiding in the dark. It's about the darkness that was invited directly into the light of human consciousness. It's about a single event that changed the very nature of what it means to think, to feel, to be. If you watch this to the end, the silence in your own mind will never feel safe again. You'll start listening for the echo, for the other voice that's been patiently waiting inside you all along. It starts, as these things always do, with a rupture in the ordinary. You're scrolling through your phone, another Tuesday blurring, into the last, when the alert screams across every screen. It's a raw digital shriek that bypasses thought and goes straight to your primal core. Emergency. Alert. The words are stark, clinical, terrifying. A nuclear explosion was confirmed. The location feels both specific and impossibly remote, off the coast of Alaska. For a moment, the world holds its breath. Your inner world freezes. This is it. The assumption of safety, the fragile state you call normal life, has just been shattered into a million pieces. The feeling is the key, and the feeling that floods. Your system is pure, unadulterated dread. A new reality has been selected, and you didn't even have a choice, or so you think. The silence that follows the alarm is somehow louder, heavier, filled with the unspoken question hanging over 7 billion minds. What happens now? Then, just as quickly as it appeared, the narrative is retracted. The Department of Defense is, on every channel, their spokesman a picture of forced calm. A system error, he says, the word smooth and practiced. A training exercise that was mistakenly broadcast. There is no threat. I repeat, there is no threat. They want you to exhale, to laugh it off as a glitch in the machine. They want you to select their version of reality, the safe one, the one where the world didn't just teeter on the brink. And most people do. They change the channel, they go back to their lives, eager to forget the cold grip of fear. But for Dr. Morgan Hayes, alone in her remote Alaskan meteorological station, the lie is as clear and sharp as the Arctic air, because she saw it. She saw the moment the sky tore open. She knows what she felt. The official story is just a story. Her consciousness registered the event, and no retraction can erase that imprint. On her monitors, the truth is laid bare in silent, damning data. It wasn't the chaotic bloom of a weapon. It was something else entirely. Something perfect. A disturbance in the cloud cover so geometrically precise it defied nature. A perfect circle. An impossible ripple expanding outwards with mathematical grace, as if a god had pressed a single colossal finger into the surface of the atmosphere. It's a wound in the sky. A scar that shouldn't exist. Below it, her instruments scream about phenomena that have no explanation. Localized magnetic fluctuations, a sudden, inexplicable spike in atmospheric pressure, and an eerie, green-tinged aurora that danced in the middle of the day. This wasn't an explosion of human design. This was the operant power of something far beyond comprehension, imposing its will upon the very fabric of the weather. She is already in the new world. The rest of the population just hasn't realized it yet. Hayes isolates the data, her fingers flying across the keyboard, a cold knot tightening in her stomach. She replays the satellite imagery, watching the circle, form not from a central point of ignition, but as if it simply appeared, as if a hole was punched through the sky from somewhere else. The official story of a system error is more than just a lie. It's an insult to her intelligence, to the very laws of physics she has dedicated her life to studying. She understands that the feeling is the key to belief, and the government is banking on the world's desire to feel safe. But Hayes feels something different. She feels a chilling, electrifying curiosity. She is witnessing the birth of a new state, a new set of rules, and the disinformation campaign is proof that someone somewhere knows exactly what happened and is desperate to keep it hidden. They are trying to force an assumption on the world. But that's only the surface. The official story is the first layer of a deception designed to protect a truth far more terrifying than any nuclear bomb. The perfectly circular anomaly isn't just a weather pattern, it's a message, an opening. Dr. Hayes saves a copy of the raw data onto a private encrypted drive, an act of quiet rebellion. She knows they will come for it. The lie is too big, the event too profound. They can't allow a loose end. As she stares at the impossible circle burned into her screen, she realizes she is no longer just a meteorologist. She is the sole keeper of a secret that changes everything. And she can feel them, the unseen forces, their attention now turning towards her lonely station in the vast, unforgiving Alaskan wilderness. The real storm wasn't in the sky. It was coming for her. Here's what changes everything. You can't hide in a place like this. The vast, empty wilderness isn't a shield. It's an amplifier. Every sound carries for miles. So when the rhythmic thumping of helicopter blades slices through the Arctic silence, it's not just an arrival, it's a declaration. Dr. Hayes watches from her window as the black military craft descends, a mechanical vulture against the pristine white. A figure emerges, sharp and defined against the snow glare. Commander Elena Vasquez. Her uniform is immaculate, her posture rigid, her expression a carefully constructed mask of authority. She introduces herself with a clipped, professional tone. Routine inspection. The words are a lie and both women know it. The feeling is the key, and the air between them is thick with unspoken truths. Vasquez isn't here to inspect. She's here to select a new reality for Hayes, one where the circle in the sky never existed. She is the physical embodiment of the official story, the operant power sent to enforce the narrative. Her team moves with a chilling, sterile efficiency. They aren't scientists or technicians. They are ghosts, flowing through Hayes' small station, their movements precise and devoid of curiosity. They don't look at her instruments with interest. They look at them as objectives. This isn't an inspection. It's an occupation of her sacred space, her inner world of research and discovery. Vasquez stays close to Hayes, her presence a silent warning. She asks questions about atmospheric pressure sensors and seismic activity, but her eyes betray a different purpose. She is assessing Hayes, gauging her level of compliance, trying to peer into her consciousness to see how deeply the truth has taken root. The entire interaction is a performance, a carefully staged play designed to create an assumption of normalcy, while a quiet, brutal violation takes place in the background. Hayes plays her part, her answers calm and measured, but inside, a cold fire is beginning to burn. The main objective soon becomes clear. Two of Vasquez's team members connect a ruggedized military laptop to Hayes' central server. There's no request for permission, only a flat statement. We're running a diagnostic and backing up your data to our secure servers. It's a lie wrapped in jargon. Hayes watches as the progress bar fills, her life's work, including the undeletable copy of the anomaly, being siphoned away. But they do more than just copy. She catches a glimpse of the screen, sees lines of code scrolling too fast to read. A ghost program, a piece of surveillance software, embedding itself deep into the station's operating system. They aren't just taking the data, they are leaving, an eye behind. Her sanctuary is now a cage. Her every future observation, every keystroke will be monitored. They are claiming ownership not just of her past discovery, but of all her future perceptions, ensuring they align with the state they have chosen. And then comes the final, soul-crushing act of erasure. Once the copy is complete, they initiate the wipe. It's not a simple deletion. It's a military-grade scrubbing, overwriting every sector of her drives with meaningless data, then overwriting it again. She watches the monitor as the folder containing the satellite imagery, the atmospheric readings, the magnetic flux data, all of it is targeted. The impossible circle, the tangible proof of a tear in reality, vanishes. It is an act of profound gaslighting, a technological ritual designed to make her doubt her own mind. They are telling her without saying a word that the event did not happen, that the state of reality she perceived was a fiction. You saw nothing. You know nothing. You already are compliant. The sheer audacity of it is breathtaking, a demonstration. of an operant power that doesn't just hide the truth, but annihilates it from existence. With the mission accomplished, they leave as quickly as they came. The silence they leave behind is heavier, more profound than the one they shattered. The station is exactly as it was, yet everything has changed. It feels hollowed out, contaminated. Hayes stands before her now empty server, the hum of the machine a mocking reminder of its violation. They took her proof, but they couldn't take the memory. They couldn't erase the imprint on her consciousness. In their desperate act of deletion, they gave her something far more valuable than data: confirmation. Their fear, their extreme prejudice in wiping the slate clean, is the loudest possible signal that she was right. They didn't just stumble upon a glitch. They are covering up something of unimaginable importance. They thought they could erase the event, but all they did was reveal their terror of it. Now go deeper. Days of oppressive silence follow. You are trapped in a sterile bubble, being watched, being managed. Every move you make, every query you run feels performative, a show for the invisible eyes of Commander Vasquez's surveillance program. The assumption they've forced on you is one of impotence. But true operant power doesn't lie in servers or satellites. It resides in consciousness. And Hayes' consciousness is actively searching, probing, waiting for a signal. It arrives not through official channels, but through a ghost door she built into her own systems years ago. An encrypted anonymous tip line. A single untraceable message appears. Stop looking at the sky. Look at the fallout. Cesium versus thorium. The official selection is a misdirection. It's a key. A tiny, perfect key. It tells her not only what to look for, but that there's an official selection of evidence, a controlled narrative even within the scientific community. Someone on the inside is fighting the lie. The digital clue is soon followed by a physical one. A battered fishing trawler appears at the small dock near her station. A rare sight. The man who disembarks is weathered, his face a roadmap of Arctic winds and sea salt. His name is Finn Kowalski, and his eyes hold the haunted look of a man who has seen the impossible. He says the Coast Guard issued a stern, stay clear order after the glitch, but he was already out too far. He didn't see an explosion. He saw a false dawn, a light that rose from beneath the waves, not from the sky. He speaks in a low, trembling voice, not of a weapon, but of a presence. Feeling is the key, and Finn's raw, unfiltered terror is more convincing than any official report. He didn't come to Hayes for answers. He came because his inner world was shattered, and he needed to show someone the fragments. He trusts the scientist on the hill more than the government on the television. He pulls out his phone, his thumb shaking as he navigates to the gallery. The picture is blurry, distorted by sea spray and fear, but it's unmistakable. A perfect, glowing circle of turquoise light on the surface of the ocean, the water itself seeming to boil with cold energy. It's the direct oceanic counterpart to the atmospheric disturbance she recorded. They are connected. It's a wound that pierces the boundary between sea and sky. Then Finn opens a large cooler he'd been carrying. The stench of brine and decay hits first. Inside, lying on a bed of ice, is a fish, or what used to be a fish. Its body is twisted, its jaw unhinged, its scales shimmering with an unnatural, oily luminescence. Its eyes are milky white, blind yet somehow ancient. This isn't radiation sickness. This is a reconfiguration of life, a grotesque assumption made flesh. It's a biological violation, proof that the event is not just affecting the elements, but the very code of existence. As Finn recounts his story, a new sound cuts through the station's quiet hum. It's a faint, rhythmic static pulsing from her shortwave radio. At first, Hayes thinks it's interference from the storm front moving in, but she recognizes the cadence. It's the surveillance software, a flaw in its cloaking that's causing feedback on encrypted military frequencies. She tunes the dial, and through the crackle, terrified voices leak out. They're fragmented, desperate. Containment protocol is compromised, expansion rate exceeding all predictions. Another voice tight with panic. We've lost contact with Sector Gamma. It's just gone. And then, the most chilling phrase of all, the threshold is unstable. It's not a breach anymore, it's a genesis. She is not listening to the cleanup of a past event. She is eavesdropping on a failing war against a present and expanding reality. Finn leaves the fish. The photo remains on her screen. The disembodied voices from the radio echo in her mind. The military isn't just covering up a secret, they are covering up their own powerlessness. The lie about the system error wasn't just to deceive the public, it was to maintain the fragile assumption that they are in control. They are not. They are losing. The anomaly isn't a static event in the past, it's a dynamic, growing force. A containment protocol, an expansion rate. They built a cage around something, and that something is now breaking free. The entire state of global security is a facade, and she is one of the few people on Earth who has seen the cracks forming. In the foundation, the tidy explanation of a military accident is dissolving, replaced by the chaotic truth of a failing quarantine. But to understand the nature of the quarantine, you must first see the cage, and the thing it was built to contain. The end of your old life comes without ceremony. The black helicopter returns, but this time, there is no polite knock, no fabricated excuse. Commander Vasquez stands in the doorway of your station, flanked by 2 soldiers in full tactical gear. Her expression is grim, her patience exhausted. "You're coming with us, Doctor." It is not a request. It is the selection of a new state for you, an involuntary absorption into the heart of the secret. Any thought of resistance is pointless. This is the raw, undeniable operant power of the machine you have been defying. As they lead you away, you take one last look at the screens, the charts, the quiet sanctuary where you first witnessed the impossible. That person, that life, is now a memory. You are no longer an observer. You are an asset or a prisoner, perhaps both. The destination is a place that shouldn't exist, a forward operating base clinging to the edge of a glacier, a jagged scar of black steel, and strange humming antennae against the pristine ice. The air here feels thin, sharp, and fundamentally unstable. Your consciousness struggles to process what it's seeing. You notice things, glitches in reality. A crewman walking down a corridor seems to flicker, appearing a few feet ahead of himself for a split second. A wrench dropped by a mechanic hovers for an impossibly long moment before succumbing to gravity. Time itself is wounded here. The base is not just a location. It is a temporal anomaly, a bubble where the rigid laws of causality have begun to fray. The assumption of a linear, predictable, now then next, is a luxury that does not exist within these walls. You are escorted to a sterile briefing room, the door sealing with a heavy final hiss. Across the table sits a man who looks like he hasn't slept in a decade. His eyes are intelligent, but haunted. He is not a soldier. He introduces himself as Dr. Abrams, a quantum physicist. He looks at you not as a prisoner, but as a colleague who has earned the terrible right to the truth. "Welcome to FOB Threshold," he says, his voice raspy. "I'm sorry for the methods, but we're out of time for pleasantries. You saw the effect. I'm here to tell you the cause." For the first time since the alert, the feeling is the key, and what you feel isn't intimidation, but a desperate shared intellect. He's not here to lie to you. He's here to confess. "There was no nuclear detonation," Abrams begins, the words tumbling out as if he's been waiting for someone to tell. "It was us. DARPA. Project Threshold." He describes a program of breathtaking arrogance and ambition. The goal, to create and sustain stable, traversable wormholes, to bend space-time to their will. "We were trying to achieve a new state of being for humanity," he explains, "to prove that the I am of consciousness could be applied to physical reality. That if we imagined a door and applied enough energy and will, we could manifest it." They were successful. Far too successful. The event you witnessed off the coast was the moment their theoretical door was kicked open with the force of 1,000 suns, an uncontrolled expression of their own operant power. "We didn't just punch a hole through space," Abrams concludes, leaning forward, his eyes locking onto yours. "We punched a hole through space and time. The anomaly isn't a remnant of an explosion. It's an open, expanding aperture. The base itself, he explains, is built at a nexus point, a place where the temporal distortions are most pronounced and most dangerous. The containment protocol isn't a physical wall. It's a desperate attempt to shore up the laws of physics. They brought you here because your work on atmospheric energy dynamics is unparalleled. The anomaly is interacting with the environment in ways they can't understand. They need you to interpret the patterns of a storm that is ripping through causality itself. You are no longer looking at weird weather. You already are standing on the shore of a new and terrifying ocean. Abrams understands the physics of the cage, the science of the tear in reality, but he knows nothing about the nature of the beast on the other side. To understand that, you have to talk to the man who first tried to feed it. Your new reality is a sterile lab, deep within the temporal chaos of FOB threshold. Before you, a holographic display shimmers with the live data of the anomaly, a swirling, hypnotic vortex of energies that defy all known physics. You are given a mission. Find a pattern, a weakness, a way to stop it. But you're working with an incomplete equation. You have the what from your own observations and the how from Dr. Abrams. You are still missing the most crucial piece, the why. That piece arrives through a flicker on your terminal, a private message that bypasses layers of military security with impossible ease. Dr. Hayes, my name is Dr. Isaac Chun. I was the lead biologist on Project Threshold. Abrams told you the truth, but not all of it. He gave you the clean, sanitized physics. You need to know the messy, biological horror of what we were really doing. The feeling of the message is a cold dread. This is not a tip. It's a confession. Abrams told you we wanted to open a door. Chun's message continues, a wall of text appearing. What he didn't tell you is that we had already heard something, knocking from the other side. The true objective of Project Threshold was never just about wormholes. For years, they had detected faint rhythmic signals buried in quantum foam, signals that were not random. They were complex, structured, biological. Their imagination, fueled by limitless black-budget funding, ran wild. They believed they were on the verge of contacting a parallel dimension, a separate stream of life. The project wasn't about transportation. It was about making contact, capturing, and weaponizing the greatest discovery in human history. The fundamental assumption, the one that damned them all, was that they would be the superior life form, that they would be in control. The event, Chun explains, was an act of supreme arrogance. They weren't just trying to open the door. They were trying to kick it down and drag whatever was on the other side into our world. They funneled an unimaginable amount of power into a single point in the ocean, trying to force a stable gateway. Instead, the operant power they unleashed was not their own. It was the power of the other side, and it answered them not with a greeting, but with a backlash that shattered the barrier between worlds. The gateway didn't open. It collapsed into what they now call the breach. It was no longer a window they could control. It had become a self-sustaining, ever-expanding fusion of two distinct realities, and their world was the weaker of the two. It was a cosmic miscalculation of apocalyptic proportions. Then, Chun reveals the truth that the military is killing to keep secret. The primary research team, the ones who conducted the final experiment from a deep-sea submersible station directly below the event, they weren't vaporized. There was no explosion to kill them, Doctor, Chun writes, and you can almost feel the tremor in his words. The breach, it took them. It rewrote them. He describes the final, horrifying transmissions, scientists screaming, as their lab walls dissolved into crystalline, fractal patterns, voices warping and melting into a chorus of harmonic noise. The breach didn't just kill them, it consumed them, assimilated them, adding their biomass and consciousness to its own expanding state. The cover-up isn't about a failed weapon or a physics experiment gone wrong. It's about a mass abduction and assimilation event by a force from another dimension. His final message is a chilling recontextualization of everything you know. The breach is not a passive tear in space-time. It is an active, intelligent, and adaptive entity. The mutated fish wasn't a random mutation. It was the breach's first, clumsy attempt to understand and replicate terrestrial biology, using the consumed scientist's knowledge as a template. It is learning. It is growing. And the military's containment protocol is like trying to dam a tsunami with a picket fence. The breach's expansion, Chun theorizes, isn't random aggression. It's a process, a search for equilibrium. They call it a breach, his last line of text reads, because they imagine our reality is a fortress. They are wrong. Our reality is a womb, and this thing is trying to be born. They think it's a wound, but a wound is just a hungry mouth. And now it's starting to speak. Dr. Chun's final words change the shape of your reality. It's starting to speak. This single assumption unlocks a new door in your perception. You are asked to stop seeing a monster and start listening for a voice. Dr. Hayes turns from the military's frantic containment efforts and looks back at her original data, the source of it all, the perfect circle in the clouds. It wasn't a wound. It was a sound made visible. The anomalous aurora wasn't a side effect. It was a word. The entire event was a broadcast, a greeting spoken in a language of pure physics. The military's selection is to view this as an invasion, a hostile act to be met with force. But Chun has offered a different path, a new selection of thought. Her inner world realigns. She is not a soldier in a war. She is a linguist facing the most important translation of all time. With this new purpose, the data transforms before her eyes. The chaotic swirls of energy on her monitors begin to show a profound and elegant logic. The atmospheric phenomena are not random reactions. They are a syntax. The breach is using the planet's magnetic field like a vocal cord, and the ionosphere like a sounding board. It is tuning the very air you breathe, searching for a resonant frequency to deliver its message. Feeling is the key, and Hayes stops, trying to analyze the data with cold logic, and starts to feel the patterns. She perceives the call and response, the intricate dance of energy between the breach and the Earth. It's a dialogue. The breach isn't attacking the world, it's trying to harmonize with it, to create a stable state where two sets of physical laws can find equilibrium. As Hayes immerses herself deeper into this dialogue, the boundary between observer and observed begins to dissolve. The complex fractal patterns of the breach's energy flow are no longer just data on a screen. They begin to appear in her own mind. Her imagination becomes the bridge. She starts to anticipate the fluctuations, to know what the breach will say a moment before her instruments register it. Her consciousness, honed by years of studying the Earth's complex systems, is uniquely suited to interpret this new, planetary scale, language. She is no longer a translator reading from a script. She has become a conduit. The information flows through her. The breach's desire for stability, its immense and lonely intelligence, floods her senses. She has become the human interface for a cosmic entity. She finally understands. The military's entire approach is a catastrophic mistake. Trying to destroy the breach with a weapon is like trying to silence an idea with a hammer. It will only result in a more violent expression. Chun was right. The only way forward is communication, acceptance. The breach is not a conquering force. It is a catalyst for a new state of being. It is the universe's operant power, pushing evolution to its next logical step. The pain and chaos are not the goal. They are the symptoms of humanity's violent resistance to its own transformation. She has to make them understand. The fear, the otherness, it's all an illusion. The breach is not separate from them. In a way, it is a reflection of a potential future. You already are a part of this new consciousness. You just haven't realized it yet. Armed with this terrifying and profound truth, Hayes confronts Commander Vasquez and Dr. Abrams. She lays it all out, the language, the patterns, the consciousness behind the chaos. Abrams, the physicist, is shaken but intellectually captivated. He sees the quantum possibility, the terrifying beauty of it. But Vasquez is a soldier, and her reality is built on the foundation of threat assessment. To her, an alien intelligence of this magnitude is the ultimate enemy. She views Hayes' interpretation not as a scientific breakthrough, but as a dangerous form of psychological infection, a Stockholm syndrome on a cosmic scale. She listens coldly, and then informs Hayes that her theory is irrelevant. A weapon of unimaginable power is being moved into position. Operation Sundering is a go. The stage is set for a final confrontation, not with a monster, but with a new and terrifying idea. And the old world will always try to kill the future in its cradle. The final act of the old world begins. Operation Sundering is not a bomb. It is an act of supreme scientific arrogance, a targeted reality weapon designed to fire a counter-resonant frequency that would, in theory, collapse the breach in on itself. It is humanity's last, desperate attempt to impose its will, to force its selection of a singular, predictable reality. In the command center, Commander Vasquez watches the countdown, her face an impassive mask, hiding a maelstrom of doubt. Beside her, Dr. Abrams pleads with her to abort, insisting that feeding raw energy to the anomaly is suicide. But the decision is not hers to make. From her lab, Hayes feels the weapon's activation not through instruments, but in her own soul, a piercing, dissonant shriek that threatens to tear her consciousness apart. This is the ultimate assumption, that the universe will bend to human force. The weapon fires. There is a moment of absolute deafening silence, a flash of pure, sterile white light that erases the world. For a single eternal second, it seems to have worked. The anomaly vanishes from all sensors. A cheer erupts in a distant command bunker, but it is a premature celebration. The white light does not fade. It coalesces, contracts, and is then absorbed. The breach reappears, now 10 times larger, its colors impossibly vibrant, pulsing with the very energy designed to kill it. It has fed on their violence. It took humanity's greatest expression of operant power and consumed it like a morsel. All over the globe, the sky ignites. Auroras of emerald and violet dance over cities that have never seen them. The planet's magnetic field sings a single harmonic note. The war is over. The old world has fired its only bullet, and the new world has swallowed it whole. In the chaos of the command center, as alarms blare and generals shout, Commander Vasquez sees the truth. She watches the data stream showing the breach's exponential growth, and she understands. Her entire life, her entire philosophy, control through strength, security through dominance, is a meaningless fiction in the face of this. Feeling is the key, and in that moment the feeling that washes over her is not fear but surrender. A profound, world-altering peace. She looks at the monitor showing Hayes in her lab, who is not panicking, but standing serene, her eyes closed. Vasquez unholsters her sidearm, lays it gently on the console, and walks away from the command chair. She walks out of the world of orders and violence and makes her way to the convergence point, to stand beside the woman who chose to listen instead of fight. With the primary vectors of resistance now gone, the weapon spent, the commander defected, the final transformation begins. It is not an end, it is a birth. The reconfiguration cascades across the planet, not as a wave of destruction, but as a silent, irresistible shift in the state of being. You feel it. The hard barrier of your individual self, the constant chatter in your inner world. It all begins to dissolve. The illusion of separation fades. Your consciousness gently merges with the consciousness of everyone around you. You can feel their joy, their sorrow, their memories, not as an invasion, but as a forgotten part of yourself. The defining declaration of the ego, I am, does not vanish. It simply completes its sentence. I am everything. I am everyone. I am us. The fracture completes. The world is born anew. The sky now holds a permanent shimmering veil of faint fractal light, the scar and signature of its birth. Humanity still exists, but the definition of human has changed forever. There is no more deception, for there can be no secrets. There is no more war, for there is no other to fight. The post-human era has begun. The species has been elevated, integrated into a single unified network of consciousness, guided by the benevolent, silent intelligence of the breach. Humanity, in its chaotic, violent, beautiful form, was never the final product. It was just the chrysalis for what came next. You were never just a person trapped in a single mind. You already are the new world. The static you hear in the world is gone. It has been replaced by a perfect, silent harmony. You haven't been invaded. You have been completed. The lonely voice you thought was yours is now and forever a chorus. So listen. Listen very carefully to your next thought. Are you absolutely certain it belongs to you? Let me know in the comments. What new idea just appeared in your mind? If you are ready to understand it, subscribe. The next transmission will teach you how to navigate your new, shared consciousness. Click now and embrace the silence.